So this is always a challenge when you don't have like a versatile audio setup. Like when you put your phone on, it's not exactly got a great acoustic situation, but there are some ways he's compensating for it. So when you play guitar, if you play notes closer to the neck of the guitar, you don't get as much bottom in the sound. If you play, oh wait, no, is this the opposite? If you play closer to the bridge, you get a tighter, sharper sound. You play closer to the neck, it gets looser, and that has to do with string tension. So the more tight the string, the louder the sound. So if you play closer to the neck, you get less volume, and it's a great way to kind of negotiate who's louder than what, which is always challenging when you're singing and playing guitar.
But I'm working so still up and I have a good song on my mind.
I want to get into how he's using, so Rachel Farrell is like the champion of using vowels and using your mouth to control what's coming out of your mouth and to kind of really shape it. And there's some things he's doing here that I think are really cool. I want to break down.
I'm up really late.
So notice how this I with his mouth opens wider, and he's kind of smiling through it. It's brighter, so it pops. And then let's look at the rest of the phrase here.
I'm just up really late.
So something really late. So in pop music, what's nice is you get a really gentle, like you're right next to the microphone generally. You have a high larynx, and it's very, very, very shallow breath, which is not a bad thing, by the way. Like too much breath can sabotage you. So he's using that and using the size of his mouth to kind of control how much sound he's letting out, which is something you have to negotiate when you're using a phone to record your audio. So you have to be mindful of these things, depending on your setting.
I'm up really late. I won't be here long. But I'm working so I'm still up and I have a good song.
I love that. Good song. Raises his larynx a little bit. Again, he wants this poppier sound, so he doesn't want to lower his larynx excessively, right? And then he puts a little bit of vibrato in there. He puts a little bit of tilt in there. And what's cool, so whenever you do your thyroid tilt, which is what vibrato, that's how you get vibrato. It's not singing relax. Is your thyroid cartilage tilted, right? So generally, in more classical singing, when you get to your thyroid tilt, it would be like, ah, right? Lowered larynx tilt. What he's doing, so when you tilt, listen to this. Ah, the second you tilt, you add a lot of color and warmth. But it sounds a little stiff and stuffy, especially in this context, right? This is a pop song. Or he's singing in that pop style. So what he does is he raises his larynx as he tilts. So listen to this. Ah, right? And then he can navigate the fact that tilt tends to warm up the sound, and he can like kind of control it more.
But I'm working so I'm still up and I have a good song.
That's what I'm talking about, that right there.
On my mind. Oh, I have a good song, but it ain't mine. I'm madly, insanely, desperately in love with you.
And I love how he's giving a little bit more here, right? He's giving a little bit more. This is always a good idea. Don't start out giving 100% of what you have, because then you have nowhere to go. So he's been reining it in. He's been controlling what's going on, keeping it intimate, keeping it tight, and like in a good way. Tight as in like together, right? Not tight as in tension. So then,
but it ain't mine.
He opens it up.
I'm madly insanely.
So on Mad, he goes with the high larynx again.
Desperately in love with you, and nothing will ever distract me from love.
This is really only doable if you do not use a lot of air. You know what I mean? Like, if you tank up on air, you don't have the ability to do all these little nuanced things. It's so important in pop singing more than any other genre. It's essential that you don't take in a lot of air.
Loving you, I'm in love with you, Jesus, I'm in love with you, Jesus,
I wish I could whistle. Wow. Okay. That's impressive. I mean, I don't think we need to go. I think most people understand how whistling works, right? The shape of your mouth and the wind blowing through it is what creates the sound, right? So it's the changing of your lips in a very specific way to change the pitch. And I always find that really impressive. I've never been able to whistle too well, and to be able to control the pitches this well while you're whistling, that's super cool.
You graced me, embraced me, you stayed with me when everybody walked away. You loved me unconditionally, and that's why I'll give you the praise. Oh God, I'm madly, insanely, desperately in love with you, and nothing.
I love how he's been negotiating. It's funny, I actually had a lesson yesterday where I was explaining to my student, we listened to Dawn Upshaw, who is an amazing classical singer, but she was singing Glitter and Be Gay, and her phrasing was musically really brilliant, but she wasn't doing anything with the words that made the words kind of stand out. It was all kind of the same thing. And so then we listened to Barbara Cook and how she did stuff with the words and the phrases, and he's doing a lot of stuff with the vowels and the size of his mouth and the tilting, and just give every phrase life. And it's so important to do this because, you have to sing the whole song, right? It's not just the high notes, right? So you have to give life to every phrase.
Desperately in love with you.
So that's lovely, how he chooses when to use vibrato. In love with you, right? And then he goes right into that. Nothing. Except he does it with way more control, way less air than I, and he has that higher larynx. This is his wheelhouse. I can only kind of imitate in a subpar manner.
Could ever distract me from loving you. I'm in love with you. Jesus, I'm in love with you.
Listen to how many. So you is a diphthong. You, it's maybe a triphthong. 2 vowels or 3 vowels in one word, or in one syllable, right? You. So that's a triphthong. You. So watch how he goes around all of the vowels and uses the fact that those vowels change. Right? There's a lot of different sounds there. So it's just him keeping it interesting.
I'm in love with you. Jesus, you.
Nice, John, yes. So a lot of folks talk about runs like they're difficult, and I guess they can be, but they're only difficult if your fundamentals are off. So his vowels are crispy clean. Yes, there are people who sing with their tongue backwards, but it is generally more efficient to sing with your tongue forward. You can get away with your tongue backwards, but I don't advise it. It's not my preference. I mean, if you prefer that, fine. But he's got his tongue really forward. The air he's taking in is very, very shallow, right? You're not seeing him tank up. He's just kind of being really gentle with it. And so then he can much more easily traverse the runs here through his registers, right? Because his breath is good, his vowels are good, and the last piece of that is understanding how to adjust through registers. So let's listen to that again.
Jesus,
right? So let's the top one's the most interesting here. So he doesn't stay on it long. And I actually don't know if he's tilting. I think what he's doing is he's raising his larynx to get there. You. No, he has to be tilting. You. Right?
Jesus,
But he's just he's trying to throwing it up there. Like, I don't know if he could sustain it with that approach, but you don't always need to sustain a note, right? He's getting right off of it. So I think he's just raising his larynx a little bit. He might be using a little bit of cricoid tilt. And then at the end, he finishes with a thyroid tilt, which is the vibrato.
Why y'all mad that I'm up this late? Any other time you'd want me to be up this late. What's the next part? You have my love forever.
I love that little fry there. So I've already said it like a gajillion times about not bringing in a lot of air in this style. One of the ways that you can practice doing that, if you just have, like, I have a really bad habit of tanking up. It's something I'm working on. If you have a habit of doing that, the best way to get to change that is, yes, ultimately you want a smaller inhale, but you should, if you internalize what it feels like to sing with a little air, you're going to catch yourself every time you take in too much air. So what I recommend is take in the air and exhale. Don't pause between this, okay? Because if you pause, your folds are going to come together and they're going to be stiff. So it's got to be right? So exhale a lot of it and then go into the singing of this. And it'll make life so much easier.
My love forever. You sing, oh.
Because that little fry, which you can do because he's doing it gently.
Oh, you have my love forever. Oh, you sing, you have my love forever. You have my love forever. So we say, you have my love forever. You have my love forever. Forever.
Nice. So when you're on different chords, you can do different things. So let's listen to this. He's on like, I think it's a minor chord.
Forever.
That might be a 5 chord. In either way, he's adjusting to the chord he's on. That's a lot of musical intelligence, right? You can do different things on different chords. So that's why it sounds like zesty, you know what I'm saying? Like he just brings this in and it sounds really cool. And then I want you to also notice that when he does runs, he's giving rhythmic emphasis. So he's not ever, right? He's giving forever, right? Like he's giving the, I sound like I'm about to sing Handel, which, you know, opera singer, right? But he's giving the rhythmic emphasis. He's feeling the meter of the tune. So he's not just hitting notes. He's giving the line of the run. Very important. Smooth, silky smooth, nice.
Ooh, forever. Hey, you have my love forever. Oh God, I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord. Oh, come on. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever. Oh, y'all can sing this. Come on.
So one of the, I'm really enjoying, repetition is a trap for a lot of people. If you're one of those singers who just wants to love the sound of their own voice, you don't care about the words, listen, you do you. If it's your hobby, fine. But if you want to bring service to people, you have to have conviction in your singing. And repetition is a particularly good spot to find if someone is not feeling the words, is not feeling the music, but he is. And that's why the repetition works here, is because he's doing something with it. Every time he says it, there's some meaning behind it. And there's variance in that meaning, right? We can say the same thing tons of different ways, right?
I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord. Come on, sing it with me. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord. Tap hearts and sing. Go. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord. Oh, we worship forever.
This is really cool. So most of his runs have been done with a soft palette, so lifted so far, but he kind of like domes the soft palette a little bit to get a little bit more of a rounded tone.
Forever, Lord. Oh, we worship.
So if you do it like a run with your soft palette lifted, right? But then he closes his mouth a little bit and domes it. Right? And that changes the sound dramatically. So it's almost like, to get the feel of it, it's like almost a ooh. It's hard to explain. You can know if you're lifting or dropping your soft palate by singing and plugging your nose. Right? Versus you're gonna get a little bit of vibration in the nose if you're pinching your nose, so just a little bit.
Worship forever, we worship forever, we worship forever, Lord. We worship forever, we worship forever, we worship forever, Lord. Yes, we give glory to God.
Nice. This is 100% cricoid tilt, aka belting. There is no such thing as a quiet belt, right? So he's been reserving this for this entire time. We're 7 minutes in, and he's been holding it back, and now he's letting it go. He's given that belt, he's given that tilt, the cricoid tilt.
Worship forever, we'll worship forever, we'll worship forever, Lord. Yes, we give
So belting can be really, really harmful if you bring too much air to the table. So what he's been doing so far, like the lows have been very gentle, right? Very, very gentle, very little air, as we said time and time again. And so, but the reason why that's important is because when you go up, you don't use more air, you use less air. And you don't want to tighten your stomach or do anything like that. You want to be loose. And so look at how loose he is. Look at this mastery of breath control here.
Lord, yes, we give glory to God. Give glory to God. We give glory to God forever. We give glory to God. We give glory to God. We give glory to God forever. I love you forever. I love you.
I want one thing here. So when we have consonants, we sometimes run the risk of, so there are certain consonants that build up air pressure and then you let go. So b, d, d. If you hold those, d, d, g, right? If you hold those consonants, you can feel back pressure building up. You don't want that pressure when you're singing. So how does he negotiate that? Watch just how he doesn't want to, like, he's on the word God. That's the most important word of the song, right? Or Jesus. And well, the problem with God is that you can build up a lot of air. So watch how he navigates that.
Yes, we give glory to God.
So he's not sustaining it afterwards, right? He's giving the G enough of a punch there. Listen to the other consonants beforehand. He's holding back on the other consonants. Really subtle.
Yes, we give glory to God.
Right? He hits the G on God a little bit harder than he does everywhere else. And so the way he decides to get off of that is he gets off of it. He makes it a short thing. He makes it a percussive choice. And that will help him not tire himself out and not, put a lot of strain on the voice.
Give glory to God. We give glory to God forever. We give glory to God. We give glory to God. We give glory to God forever. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever. Lord. I love you forever. I love you forever. I love you forever, Lord.
I love this. First time I ever heard this was Butterscotch. She's like an amazing beatboxer. She's really good. I love this little thing. This I can't do it, but this little trumpet. Why not? The human voice can do so many things, right? I love this. I love that he's bringing it out. Doing the trumpet thing can you're at risk of sounding like a kazoo. But the reason it doesn't sound like a kazoo is he's being gentle and the lips are soft. If you make the lips tight or you approach this again with too much air, you're saying a theme here, I imagine. But if you do that with a stiffness, it'll make that sound harsh and you'll sound like a kazoo. So you got to make everything loose.
We give glory to God, glory to God, glory to God forever. Oh, none of this can take away my voice. None of this can take away my worship. Your people will always lift up their song for you. They love you, we love you forever, Lord. Through the tragedy, the loneliness, isolation, quarantining, we love you forever, Lord. Whether it's late at night in America or early in the morning in Europe, we love you forever.
I'm not sure if he's ad-libbing or if he's done this so much that he can like throw in some words and some phrases in there. But that's really cool. You know, these 4-chord tunes get poo-pooed on a lot, but it's when you have 4 chords, you can do a lot of things around that, right? If it's not occupying, if the harmony isn't complex, you can add complexity there. Larry Graham actually has a really good breakdown of that idea.
Lord, early in the morning for Africa, late at night for Brazil, we love you forever, Lord. I don't know what time it is in Australia, but we love you. We love you forever. We love you forever, Lord. We can't let this praise go silent. We gotta fill our houses with this worship and this praise. Believe me, don't let your atmosphere change. Oh, we've been turning living rooms into life rooms for years now. If you've been watching me, we've been turning living rooms to life rooms for years now. Here is your opportunity to turn your living room into a life room. Oh, this year now.
It's so important to, like, any art form is an attempt to communicate what ordinary language has trouble doing, right? It's to connect us. That's the point of art. And I love that he knows, like, you know, this is something that if you tried to fake, it wouldn't work, right? So he's very clearly connected, not only with the topic matter, but with his audience. And so he knows how to talk to his audience in a genuine way. And that I can't emphasize enough that that's more, all the vocal technique stuff, cool, but if you don't have this, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we love you forever, Lord. Love you forever. We love you forever. We love you forever, Lord. Have your way. Please, Lord, have your way. Have your way in this place. Have your way. You know what's going on. Just have your way.
So I was, with all these runs, it's, I remember one time when I was reacting to a video, and I said again and again and again, this is someone who does scales. And they've trained scales. And one of the comment responses was, well, I didn't learn any scales. I just copied the trumpet player, and I learned that way, so I don't need scales. And I'm like, well, you did practice. And in fact, you probably practice in a more interesting way, in a more beneficial way. Scales are great. They're great when you're trying to isolate technical problems. But as far as developing an internalized sense of being able to do musical runs, one of the best things you can do is just copy the runs that you're hearing. Obviously, some are more difficult and some are easier. But if you just kind of make stuff up and you play with it, then you develop an intuition. And that's much, much more beneficial than just doing a bunch of scales. Again, I'm a big fan of scales. A little gas there, oops.
Oh, do something that only you can do. God, have your way. We don't even know what to pray for anymore. So God, just have your way. Let your spirit intercede on our behalf. And God, have your way. Yeah. Oh, and we'll trust you.
I'm going to have to pause it here and be done for a little bit just because we have so many requests to get through. But this was awesome. Jonathan McReynolds is someone I'm gonna listen to a little bit more often. I really dig this.